Welcome back to another episode of Born Again Bowhunting Podcast. On today's episode, we got Noah Wodnicki, and he's going to go over his deer season a little bit, and then Cromer, Matt, and Noah are going to talk a little bit about the
Lancaster Classic that just happened.
Yeah.
So
Noah, why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, how old you are, what you do for a living, that type of stuff.
Okay. So I'm from Weirton, West Virginia. It's just a little bit west of Pittsburgh, actually, and been shooting. I'm 22 years old. I've been shooting a bow since I was about like 2.5, 3 years old. My dad, pretty much hunting and fishing has been like the only thing I've ever known since I was really, really young. And killed my first deer with the bow. So the year I killed my first deer, it was kind of a cool year. So I killed 3 button bucks.
yeah,
So
taking them out.
I killed my first deer on Thanksgiving Day. It was a button buck with a rifle. 2 weeks later, I killed my first deer with a muzzle loader. It was a button buck. And like a week or so later, I killed my first deer with a bow. And it was a button buck. It was just kind of cool.
There goes the old buck crop.
That's pretty cool though, honestly.
Yeah, it is. Like when you really look at it, like I was like, that's kind of cool. I killed like all the main weapons all in the same year. I was like, yeah,
How old were you?
8.
8.
That's respectable.
that's even cooler.
I still like my bow I was shooting. It was just an old Parker buckshot. Some old beam in air with a 4-inch feather. Thunderhead brought it. I remember that so we have an urban hunt back home.
Oh, I wish.
And
I know.
we used to do deer drives all the time. We'd get 15, 20 guys. I mean, sometimes we even have like 30, 40 guys. So we'd do these drives. Well, it was sweet. Like we used to, they started to kind of get out of hand, and they put a stop to it. It's been like
all
probably
good
about
things come to an end.
Exactly. And that's like, you could do a whole podcast on the reason why they stopped it.
Yeah.
It's not good. But
Oh man.
I still remember like my buddy Chris, he was like, hey, just sit right here by this stump. It was just it was like when they logged the property, it was just maybe about 5 foot high. He's like, sit right here, I killed a deer one time. 20 minutes later, drive starts, that button buck comes up, I shot it. It was just like, I don't know, like I still remember like how that whole entire shot
How it just
felt.
played out and everything.
That's awesome.
It's a core memory.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But, so I started shooting competitively when I was about 13 or so, and just knew nothing about it. Like I remember my pap, like, he had a long stabilizer in the garage. I used to like mess around with it, but I didn't know nothing about it. Nobody was really shooting then around us. And he's like, hey, we're going to start getting out the club and start shooting spots. I'm like, all right, whatever that is. And that year he bought me a new Matthews. It was a Matthews Helium. So I'm just shooting hunting equipment at this point. Well, there was a guy out there, my buddy Steve Gorby. He was in my coach's box at Lancaster.
Oh, okay.
He was still shooting pretty heavily then, and like I remember watching him. He was shooting an old PSE Moneymaker, just lobbing arrows in there.
Those were the straightest bows.
So
they
tall.
were just literally just a piece of metal straight up and down.
Yep. And I remember like just watching him pound. I'm like, you know what? I said, this is pretty cool. And like a couple years, like within like 2 or 3 years, things started like falling in line. Like I started getting around people that shot. It was just crazy how it all happened, and kind of like, no. I'm going to learn to see how good I can get at this, and kind of just started doing it.
You got pretty decent at it, son.
No, but what I'm happy to is like, it's like I was going to college for a while, and I was shooting a lot. At the same time, I was hunting a lot too. Like I have my classes all set up to where like, hey, I'm going to go hunt. I still want to hunt, whether it's turkey season, deer season, or whatever. If I was seeing deer in the morning, I was not going to class. And it's just, in a way, like I kind of like regret doing it in a way, because I was like, yeah, I kind of took advantage of it in a way. I could have been doing some other things, but at the same time, so you know what, I had pretty fun doing it. But was going to college for a while, then started doing like my own little gig for a while. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna just start totally get out of all this. I was tired of trying to find people to work, and that's just, everybody kind of has that problem now. But so I got in the carpenters union. My dad's been doing it for a long time, so once I kind of decided, hey, that's what I want to do, just called him, he got me hooked up, and been doing that now for about 3 years. But it's nice though, every time, like if I want a day off to go to a tournament, just let them know ahead of time. They don't really care. Same thing with hunting season. They said, hey, work's on everything. So I was like, you know what, it's kind of nice where it's a nice area. I feel like right now this is where I need to be.
Yeah.
Cool.
I know that feeling. My dad and I have our own construction business.
Okay.
So when the bucks are around, I will not be working, and he knows that.
The bucks are around, the hammers go down.
Yeah, seriously.
It's just, I look at it this way, life's too short. I'll work 7/12s every day of the year. Just give me the first 2 weeks in November.
Yeah.
That's all I want. I'd be completely
And the last
fine.
week of October.
Yeah,
And the week
too.
of gun season. and
Lancaster and Vegas.
Heck, anymore. I mean, I haven't killed a buck in November in like 3 years.
I know it. We were just talking about
goofy.
that too. Like, I take off a week in Ohio every year for the rut. I haven't killed a rut buck in like
No.
3 years.
Yeah.
Nope.
It's like,
Never
why do
works
I do
out.
this? Why do
No.
I do
Yeah.
this?
2019, I killed 3 bucks in November. Killed a big one in Ohio, November 6th. That was on a Wednesday. That Saturday, been in 9th. Yeah, shot a decent buck in West Virginia, maybe 115-ish. Was kept hunting. That following Wednesday, seen a big one in West Virginia again, because we can kill 26 bucks in West Virginia.
How many for real?
I can kill 3 on my state license, and we have that urban hunt. I can kill 2 bucks on it.
Holy
That-
smokes.
So you can kill $5
Wow.
legally.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
And that's
crazy.
picking up and moving states.
No more looking for property in Indiana. We're gonna start in Kentucky. We're gonna start buying some in West Virginia.
And so I've seen all like my big deer I've seen on the hoof has been in that city hunt. And like it's
Oh,
not
yeah.
like now it kind of used to be like how like Seek One,
Right.
He's killing giants, and it used to be like I used to see some really big deer, but there's a lot of people hunting it now. I think just there's big deer around right now, but there's not as many as what people really think. But it's all about population control too. So like you got to kill a doe before you can kill a buck. I've had a lot of big deer stand in
that's
front
cool.
of me that I couldn't shoot.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're a good man.
Well, there was a guy last year got busted. He said that he shot a doe, never did. Shot like a 165, 170.
Got in trouble, huh?
Giant.
Oh, for West Virginia, that's like a 190 in Ohio.
It was shot like 3 miles from my house.
Oh,
How far are you from like where you said you were by Pittsburgh, right?
Yeah.
west of Pittsburgh.
So like, what about what is it, Logan and like Mingo County?
Yeah, and that's like 5 hours south.
That's
Those
like
are
the
all
archery only counties.
So there's
Dude,
5.
There's giants down there.
There's 5 bow only counties in West Virginia. You got Boone, Kanawha, Wyoming,
Isn't it Logan and Mingo?
Logan, and Mingo.
Yeah.
And the last couple years, they've killed 190s down there.
Oh,
But
really?
It's straight up and down,
It's
though.
giants. Like,
Rough country.
Very rugged.
Yeah.
I think that's where the Untamed guys are from.
Yeah, that's the area they're in.
Yeah, I remember him talking about Mingo or
Yeah.
whatever.
I didn't know there was archery only areas in
Yep.
West Virginia.
Well, that's where they released all the milk at,
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
on all the strip mine property.
What, did they go to Kentucky, or are they still in West Virginia?
I
They're
think-
still there.
Are they?
I think a lot of them got killed.
Oh, I'm sure.
Legally?
Nah,
Oh man.
not at all.
Dude, you kidding me? You're in West Virginia. You see a 250 bull run behind your house. I mean,
swore it
come
was
on
a
now.
deer, boys.
Yeah.
I swore it was a whitetail.
They got some
Them boys
serious
ain't-
drugs going through.
The boys ain't waiting for season.
Oh man, I bet they ate good for at least a year.
The DNR was like, man, we probably should have dropped the milk there.
We probably
Bad idea.
we should have studied the population a little more before we dropped it in West Virginia.
They started it like 2017-ish, give or take.
Yeah.
So I mean, they've had time to
Going on for a little while now. Yeah.
had a lot of time to get really established.
Yeah.
Wow.
But
Well, I guess before we go any farther and get too off topic from what we wanted to
I like
do.
it. I like it.
No, it's good. But let's hit them with our icebreakers.
Yeah.
Even though we've
This-
already been past what an icebreaker
We
would
already
be.
Yeah.
That's
broke 'em
fine.
in.
That's
Yeah,
fine.
he's nice and never mind.
He's
Go ahead.
seasoned.
Yeah, he's melted.
So we we like to ask our guests 3 icebreaker questions.
Okay.
First one being, so during hunting season, like if you're on the road and stuff, what's your go-to energy drink or coffee or whatever you want to pick up at the gas
Just
station in
drink,
the morning?
yeah.
Yeah.
What's your favorite?
just black coffee.
Ooh, what a
It
man.
depends. So like, it just depends. Though. Like if it's like a little warmer, though, like orange flavored Celsiuses.
Okay.
Like I was living
Those
on
are
that.
new. Those are newer, aren't
Yeah.
they? Yeah.
I'm real big on
That's
that.
like one extreme to the next. We went from black coffee to orange Celsius.
And I'll tell you what else I drink a lot too is the Starbucks mochas. Iced coffee.
Yeah.
Whether it's hot or cold.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
All right,
weather-wise.
Next question.
I guess, so if you're running any trail cameras or game cameras, what's your favorite or your go-to game camera?
Really like the Tacticams.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a whole nother topic.
Oh,
here, too.
yeah.
Oh, we get into it. I don't, but they get into it.
I mean, yeah, for being like,
Fair chase or not?
Yeah.
I mean, just
No
for being
inside.
having stuff like conveniently, Tacticams for sure.
Yeah.
And then what bow are you currently shooting? If you want to go over both your target bow and your hunting bow, or
So my hunting bow is a Matthews Verdicts. Been shooting it for a couple years now. It's just a comfortable bow for me. It's compact. I can shoot a gun in a tree stand. It's light. But my target bow is a Hoyt Invicta. That's what I've been shooting for a while now.
Hot and cold.
Man.
Yeah, it's no
Black coffee, orange Celsius, Matthews, Hoyt.
Covering the whole
He's just,
board.
yeah, he's
So,
diverse.
When you go to the woods, do you have a hat that's like split down the middle? Matthews on one side, Hoyt on the other.
I'm gonna have to do something, or get like a window sticker and put like,
Just cut it in half.
Hoyt Matthews.
or put like M-A-T, then like spell Hoyt backwards.
Yeah.
Put a T. Yeah.
There you go. There you
I
go.
like it. Yeah, absolutely.
all right, well, cool. Now that we've got that out of the way, we can go back to our
Yeah, so
Regular
our
schedule
rambling.
program.
Yeah,
back to regular
Welcome
programming.
back.
We're going into it, but I had on the schedule your 2022 deer season. You kind of gave us your background as a kid. How was this season for you?
So it wasn't bad. I was actually pretty pumped to start hunting. Like hunting season seems like each year I get more and more like excited for it. I don't know, just because like each year I learn something like I'm excited to take into the following season, or just I don't know, it's just more and more special to me. It seems like anymore. But I killed 3 deer this year, 2 doe.
Stud.
A night I killed a pretty good 10-point in West Virginia. He was probably like 125ish, maybe had a broken G2, but that deer, like I said, I had bigger deer on the property. I was really trying to get on a buck I had last year. Had him at 35 yards, never showed up one time.
How big we talking?
Big, like
Matt's a numbers guy. You got to give him a number.
I don't know. He's 170s, 180s.
That's big.
That's big.
That's big.
Non-typical. From what
Did he have a drop time?
he had like a dagger coming off this. I'll pull up a picture.
Hey, before we're over, just send me your address.
But no, but it was kind of crazy. Like just that property alone, it was kind of one of them like just a random day. Was hanging out with some friends, and next thing I know, I got a new piece of property to hunt. It was just like
It just fell into
Yep.
place there. Yeah,
Cool.
that's cool.
So I was hoping that big one was going to show up this year. I had cameras, started running cameras in like July. Never showed up. So I'm like, all right, maybe I'm just waiting. Like November comes around, never shows up. And like at this point, I have like nothing on camera. I'm like, it's kind of weird. No, I killed that deer on October 25th. That was a Wednesday. Seems like I kill a lot of deer on Wednesdays. I don't know what it is. And
Hump day.
well, me and Pap went hunting that Saturday before, and I put him in one of my spots that I always see big deer, and I don't really care. He don't worry too much about stand control. I just happy he still
Go have
goes.
fun,
Yeah, yeah.
So I went on the other side of the property to the stand I ended up killing this deer out of. So he texts me about 8:30, sends me a picture of a buck and rack. He's like, I just seen this deer. I said, well, why didn't you shoot it? No, I don't know. It ain't that big. I'm like, because he was wanting to go golfing in a couple hours. So he's sending me pictures of it. I was like, why didn't you shoot it? Oh, I don't know. It ain't that nice. I'm like, whatever. So I hunted that spot Sunday morning. Never seen him. Monday morning, I'm at work. Cell cam goes off. He's in that spot coming across this little flat. Tuesday morning, he's coming across this flat. Wednesday morning, he's in there. And I'm like, I got to go hunt this deer. I was like, I want to shoot him, but I don't at the same time. I was like, I'm going to at least go see what he looks like. So I went clean on the other side of the property, got up in that same stand. The only reason I really wanted to go was just to see what showed up, and I wanted to go put my lifeline in that stand. I got there, there was 2 scrapes. So I started using the Golden Estrus, Wildlife Research Centers, just like scrape juice or something it's called, and
Take 69.
or it's some active scrape. That's what it's called.
Okay.
So I found out this past year, there was like a 5-day period. Them bucks just went crazy over that stuff. I was dumping it everywhere. I mean, had a lot of different bucks showing up. So it was kind of rainy that day. So I dumped some of that stuff in there, and it was just like, the wind started to die down. I look up, here comes this buck walking out the road. I'm like, ooh, what's a nice buck. So I grab my bow, I stand up, I'm just watching. I'm like, at this point, I know he's a nice deer, but I don't know how nice he is. Comes up, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna shoot that deer. And he's hitting all these branches coming up along this road, and he walked right underneath me. It was like 25 yards. Shot him. And
I love it.
I posted a video on my Facebook of him falling down. Like, he was right in front of me, and he ran maybe 10 yards behind me and piled over. So it was a pretty cool video.
That's cool.
That's sweet.
And
That's sweet.
like I said, I worked for like 10 days after that, and I took off for a while. My 3rd day of vacation, I had a really, really big 8-point, like 35 yards away from me. couldn't get a shot at him. Mm-hmm. And after that, like each day got worse and worse.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
Yeah.
That's so weird to hear him say he's going after a buck again. I'm like, oh yeah, he's from West Virginia. It's
Yeah.
so
Well,
strange to hear.
I had cameras all over Ohio, but like, so my properties I hunt high, they're smaller. So like, if you get a picture of a deer in there, you better just go hunt it and just hopefully he shows up.
Yeah.
They were in there in the mornings, but they were, every time I went in there after work in the evenings, never got on them. And like where I was at, it was real easy for me to slip in there, hardly make any noise, had everything trimmed back nice. Seen deer, but not the right ones.
So in your Ohio properties, do you have an issue with the EHD this year? Do you
No.
think that? Nope, not a
I
factor.
didn't notice anything.
Okay.
That's
Because
good.
2017, it hit us bad. Because I remember the property, I just got permission to hunt this property that year. And like in July, I was getting like 200 pictures a week. I didn't go in there for like 2 weeks before season. I had like 5 pictures of all like the same deer.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It was horrible.
Yeah, it didn't really hit us here locally, but like south of us a little bit, and just way south in
It's like
Ohio.
south of 70, basically.
Yeah, it hit pretty hard. So I
Yeah.
just didn't know if that affected your Ohio property.
Nah, I didn't notice
Okay.
anything like that. I mean, because I was up there a lot in the summertime, like never smelled any dead deer or anything. Now, granted, like below those properties, there's some big hollows that run through there and creeks and stuff, but I never really went down in there looking.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool. Nice.
So I want to touch base on the estrus stuff. I've never in my life had luck with that stuff. What's the secret?
I don't know. 'Cause, there's times I've had it out. Like in 2019, I killed 3 bucks, and they were all very, very good bucks. I had it out every single time. Next year, I was setting it up the same way. Couldn't get a buck to come in within 10 yards of me. I mean, it's just...
I've never had any luck with it. It doesn't matter the brand. I'm not knocking any brand out there. It's just, man, I've never had luck.
I think everything has to be 100% perfect. I think that deer has to be looking for a doe. Like, that's the only thing on its mind.
Like one time I took one of them little, you know, they come with them little
white
scent-
wafer.
wafers. Dude, I dabbed that thing in that bottle. I hung it on a tree, and I hung a trail camera in front of it, or behind it, I should say, because I wanted to know, like, what's going to hit this? Not a single deer hit that thing. And you know what I did? I even put it, like, wind blowing into, like, what I thought was a bedding area.
Right.
Well, that's how I was using it that year. Let's say I was climbing a tree right here, and I knew those deer were going to be coming from in front of me, because it's hard to hunt the wind like where I'm at, because
Yeah.
it's just so unpredictable.
Thermals and,
I mean, like I said, it's impossible, because the second you think it's right, by the time you get set up, it's going to be blown another way. I was like, you just got to do your part and keep everything pretty well set free as best as you can.
Yeah.
But I was taking them, I'd take like 2 or 3 wicks, and I would stick them out ahead of me like 20, 30 yards. So the first thing those deer were really picking up was that, if that's what they were interested in. But then the last couple of years, I haven't really
Messed with it too much.
it just seemed like just haven't really had much luck with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting.
I worry. Now I will take stuff and put it on the bottom of my boots.
Really?
I've had better luck with like drag lines and stuff than I have just hanging it there.
I've never.
I've never had good luck with that.
I've
either.
tried. See, but maybe I don't try enough. I maybe tried a drag line like maybe 3 times,
See,
but every single time they don't. I don't ever have a little. No, not even a little buck come in and follow me.
Because like we used to get like that buck bomb when that was big and sprayed
Yep.
on the bottom of our boots.
Throw it out there.
Buck bomb, baby.
and just take, like start walking all around your tree stand and stuff.
You put your mouth.
Well, I think the drag lines work a little better though, because you don't have that scent out the whole entire time. It's almost like it gets toned down as it's out there. Like,
Yeah.
a buck's still gonna smell it, but you just don't have that constant just scent getting blown around.
Yeah. Almost more of a natural thing than just like that
Yeah.
bark bomb going off. Yeah.
I remember having little bucks chase it and like run after a drag line in
Really?
gun season. Dad used to do it in gun season.
Those bucks are feeling frisky.
I think partially just to like cover up his scent, but I remember they would walk that exact line, come right to the tree.
I mean, you hear about them stories about guys
Little
that
bucks,
shoot,
nothing ever like, you know.
Yeah, the guys that
2-year-old
shoot
or bigger.
boners, and they're like, "Yeah, I just threw this dopey on my boots. Here he comes." It's like, man, why can't that happen to me?
The Black Widow.
Well, my pap, he has a real big 8-point mounted. He shot in West Virginia. It's like 22, 23 inches wide. It's a stud.
Yeah.
Good one.
And you could just tell by like the mount, it's a phenomenal mount. So there was a guy back home, Bob Eckerd, and he was like mounting in the 70s, 80s,
Shout out,
some in the
Bob.
90s.
Yeah.
Well, he passed away now, but his mounts still look.
Bob.
They still look phenomenal.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's good.
everything. So you can just tell, like, all right, that was a pretty big deer. Paps was like, yeah, I had Tank 69. A deer came walking right up to it, shot.
Yeah.
So I
Man,
mean, it's
that'd
just
be nice.
you hear so many. You either hear it's a super
Yeah.
good story about it, or it's a horror story.
Yeah. Yeah.
No in between. Like I've had I was using what was that? The frozen stuff they have out, the antler ice.
Yeah, antler ice.
I used that for a while, and I had pretty good luck with it for a while. Then remember one time I had like a little 4-point down below me. He got like 80 yards from me, just snorting his head off. I'm like, yep, I'm done.
It probably is based on the deer. to
Deer
be honest.
specific.
It is. That deer has. It's the
Time of
same.
year, location, what
It's
the actual does are doing in that
Yeah.
area.
Yep. And it's the same thing too. Like rattle. Like if you go to rattle a buck in, a buck's just not going to walk in because he hears horns. He has to be intentionally looking for
He
something.
wants to
Yeah.
fight.
He wants
Yeah.
to come into the situation. Yeah.
He wants to be ornery. Well, congrats on your deer.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially down in West Virginia, it's a little
Yeah.
bit different hunting than around here.
Yeah, I felt pretty good. Like I said, that was the first buck I killed with a bow in a couple years. I missed
Sweet.
one last year.
Yeah, it happens.
It is. I mean, you bow hunt long enough, you're bound to miss one.
Yeah.
Yeah, or mess up.
Or miss one and hit one all on the same day.
We got a couple of those stories, don't we, boys?
Yeah.
It happens.
Yeah, that's right. It does. It's just part of it.
And it's really nice doing these podcasts and talking to people and like them being honest and saying, I hit a deer, I wounded it, or I flat missed it. Like if you look on social media and like YouTube and stuff,
Yeah.
how often do they air that stuff?
Yeah.
Not
very
often.
Never.
No. But it really brings a realistic perspective for you as a bow hunter that it happens to more people than just, I missed a deer this year. And
Well, I'll tell you this could honestly help some people. And so I always shot a single pin sight for a very long time. And for the last couple of years, I always said, like, you know what, I think I ought to start shooting like a 4-pin or a 3-pin on a slider, just to have it there, because you know how deer get it come flying through. You don't got time trying to range all 35, trying to do whatever. So forget when this was. It was like November 5th or 6th. It was a Friday. I was hunting Ohio. I was going to hunt West Virginia this day. I said, I'm just going to go to Ohio. It's on my way home from work. Got up in this tree. The day before, I was shooting like 40, 50 yards at the house. So I'm shooting. Well, go to the next day. I get up in the stand. I rattled, and I heard a buck down there hitting a scrape. I'm like, that just sounds like a big deer. So I grunted a couple times, snort wheezed. Well, I look over, here he comes. Really old deer. He had more. He probably had more inches in mass than he did tine length. And he had like a little dagger coming off like his one side. I was like, I'm killing this deer. Yeah. So I get set up, and of course the wind changes right at the last second. He's standing 25 yards from me, just quartering to me. I'm like, I don't really want to shoot this deer in that direction. So he takes off and runs behind me. As I'm spinning my bow around, I looked at my sight. I said, oh my gosh, your sight's still on 40 yards.
Yeah.
I said, I'd have missed this deer. I'd have shot clean over top of that deer.
Yeah.
So I spin around, like he stops out there. I'm like, I'm pretty positive that's 40 yards. I didn't have time to range him. Pull back on him, squeeze, boom, shot right over top of him. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And so he takes off, and I could hear him still down there walking around. And he showed up a couple days later. Never seen him again in person. I had a bunch of pictures of him this year. He lost a ton of.
you think it's an old deer?
He's
just
probably
declining now?
8, 9 years old.
Yeah.
But
Jeez.
so I started shooting a 4-pin this year.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
got my 20 pins of green, 30 pins green, my 40 pins red, and my 20, 30, and my 50 pin is green too, on a slider. So go off your bottom pin if you got to move it, but it's just quicker.
You know what I use is I shoot a single pin with the 2 fiber optics.
I like that.
because I can get 0 to 40 yards in my housing without moving my slider. So like the bottom of my bubble, like if I use my bubble, it's 40 yards, 32 yards is my second pin, and then obviously like 20 yards is my top pin. And it's just nice to know, like if a deer's coming in, I just go to 20 yards, and then I know I can shoot 20 to 40 yards. And then if he's past 40, you're gonna have time to
Move that side. Yeah.
So
A spot hog.
that's the Ultra View.
Okay.
The double pan.
Yeah, the double pin on a landslide.
I like the Ultra View scope. That's what I've been using on my target bow.
Yeah,
It's
it's
a
nice.
nice scope.
Yeah, they do a good job.
But
Good stuff.
Well, just
you want to dive into
Yeah,
Lancaster?
so we tidied up the old hunting season. So Noah, I got to see you on YouTube this weekend.
Famous.
He's famous. I'm getting his signature right after this podcast is over.
Hey, he's got to sign the table first.
Yeah, you do have to sign the table. But yeah, Noah, you did. You had a pretty good weekend at Lancaster. You shot the men's open, correct? And tell us about your weekend, buddy.
So ended up finishing 8th, qualified.
1 second for the listeners. This is a Lancaster Archery Classic.
Yeah, let's describe what it is just a little bit.
Yes, sure. So there's a giant spot tournament on the East Coast.
Nook.
And it's in the Spooky Nook
30
Sports
acres
Center.
under one roof.
It's
That's
a
crazy.
big one.
That's
It's
insane.
It's huge.
That's crazy.
It's a big one,
Giant.
and it's over in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. If you were watching this, you probably heard of Lancaster Archery Supply. They do their own shoot. It's called the Lancaster Classic, and they've been doing it since like 2010 or
I think
something.
this was the 19th year, the 20th year.
So
Been
there
on
was
for a long time.
I think there was almost 3,000 archers there this weekend, and it's basically the big show on the East Coast for indoors. And in our class in men's open, I shoot that class too. I didn't make it like Noah did. That's why he's on the podcast. But I think there was over 300 guys in our class.
I think I looked. It was like 400.
Almost
something.
400. Yeah,
425. It was up there.
It's
Wow.
It's a lot of dudes that are shooting, and I know the cut this year was higher. But yeah, so that's kind of, and then it's a 3-spot tournament. It's the same face as the Vegas face, except in the finals. If you watch it on YouTube, there's a 12 ring, which is pretty cool. I don't think you ever went for the 12 ring, did you?
No, I kind of got my own reasons why. I did.
Yeah, I bet not. We'll talk about it in a second. But anyway, that
Distance?
paints, yeah.
How far is it?
20 yards.
20 yards.
20-yard tournament, and then the qualification is 60 arrows
On Friday.
on Friday, and then Saturday you have to win 3 elimination matches to make it to the top 8 on Sunday. So that paints the picture. And if you want to tell us about your weekend.
So Friday I shot at 8 a.m. Got off work. Thursday flew out, hurried up and got out to Lancaster real quick. Wanted to get out there and start shooting, get acclimated to everything. Was shooting pretty good on Thursday. I was like, okay, so I'm feeling pretty good. Got up Friday morning early, started practicing, shooting pretty good. First half of scoring, I just sucked. I mean, like, literally, whatever I had, like, I was going through my mind, completely lost it. Like, yeah, I let the nerves get to me a little bit. And that's the thing with Lancaster. People get super psyched out about the qualification round, and I'm guilty of it too.
Yeah.
It's for no reason. You're just shooting your arrow. The tournament hasn't even started yet.
Yep.
Right.
Technically.
Yep.
And so I looked about the 8th end. I counted up my score. I saw where I was at. Had a talk with myself. And the second half, I was like, all right, you got to buckle down. And if you want to sit anywhere decent going into tomorrow. That's the thing, though. Being head-to-head matches, it don't matter where you're at. You just got to shoot 12 good arrows when it's your time to shine. So the second half, I shot like a 325X. Well,
That's good shooting.
It's a good game.
I kept getting these real low arrows. I've noticed these real low arrows for like a month now, just randomly. I'd be low. I'm like, what's going on? Couldn't figure it out. Give my sight a couple extra clicks, whatever. Well, we got done shooting on Friday. I went to the practice field, shot for like 3.5, 4 hours. I'm just shooting. I'm like,
More of a man than I am.
well, it took me like 3 hours, and I was like, the low started getting worse. I looked at my rest. I'm like, I'm moving this rest up. So I bumped it up a little bit. After about 5 arrows, I looked at it, I said, something's not right. My rest kept sagging. I said, there's no way this thing is moving. Well, my blade was cracking. So my blade ended up breaking. I loosened up my one bolt. The blade went flying. I'm like, oh, yeah, this isn't good. So thank God.
It was at Lancaster, right?
Yes. That's the one thing that's so nice about going to big shoots, and if something breaks, they always have it in the trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, because I've went there a couple times needing something, and it's like arrow lube this weekend. Didn't have arrow lube, and those targets are horrendous pulling arrows out of. Go buy some arrow lube.
Yep.
Those targets are terrible.
Got my bow sighted back in, and I was like, all right, I'm feeling pretty good. So went to bed, got up next morning, and I was on the practice bills. Could not hit nothing. Just
Because you had a fresh blade on your bow.
yeah, I mean, I was up there. Like I've been shooting a thumb button for about the past month or so. I've never shot a button committed to shooting a button for a while, and it's been working good for me. So I had my hinge out. I'm like, I got to the point. My mom called me before I shot. I was like, yeah, I can't see myself making it too far today. And I saw Chad's wife.
Yeah.
I was getting the water out of the vending machine. She's like, good luck today. I'm like, thanks. She's like, how you feeling? I was like, I'm like in a good, like, mad mood right now.
Yeah.
And
That's a good place to be.
yeah,
sometimes.
I was just like, all right. I was like, whatever happens, happens. And I just went down and you just got to get yourself fixed in. And that's like a lot of times, like when I'm practicing, like I'll be at the house, like I'll struggle. Like I just need that little bit of tension just to keep myself focused. Like, all right, make sure you're staring through the pin, not just trying to set it there and follow through. Just little tiny basic stuff. So I won my first match.
Let's back up real quick.
Okay.
The best you can shoot in the qualification score is 60 arrows, and it's a 660.
2 guys shot that.
2 pros shot a perfect, and they never missed an X in 60 arrows, which is...
And the X is like the size of a dime.
Penny
about a
and
penny.
dime. Yeah, that's the type of size.
At 20 yards.
At 20 yards. And it's just like, it sound like if you go to 20 yards and you're like, oh, this is pretty close. Well, when you do it 60 times over and over and over again,
Under
you are...
pressure.
And it don't take much.
No. To miss that, it does
What's the
not.
10 ring? Like a 50-cent piece, maybe?
$1 piece maybe.
Yeah, that might be big for $1. It might be, yeah. It's not that big. It's a little bit bigger than a quarter, I would say.
Yeah.
Just a little bit bigger
Actually,
than a
yeah,
quarter.
you're probably right.
It's just a little bit bigger than a quarter. It's not. It's if you look at the camera, it's not much bigger than that.
Honestly.
So
Yeah, it's pretty small.
So like you said, there was 2 guys that shot.
But that was the pro class.
660s. Yeah, There's 2 guys that shot perfect, unheard of. There's only been a few guys in the history of the whole shoot that shot a 661 guy, and then this year 2 dudes shot it.
I think there's 4 people now. 'Cause Rio shot the first one a long
wow.
time
He
ago.
shot 2 of them.
Yeah,
Back-to-back years. And Braden shot one. I remember
Yep.
the year Braden shot
I
one.
did too.
And Bodie and that Zach Plowski from Wisconsin.
Yep.
I think Lancaster made a post, and this was the 4th and the 5th times that it's been done.
Yeah.
So Mike Slosher missed his last arrow. He was clean.
Yeah, there was
Really?
how many? There was so many 659s and 658s.
Yeah.
There was a lot.
Yeah,
That'd
Jesse
be so bad.
Jesse Broadwater made
I
a
know.
post.
He missed one.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was
Jesse.
stroking it. And he's like, I remember when 59Xs used to be good.
Yeah. Now you're getting like 5th, 6th place. With
Yeah.
Well, people were shooting
59X.
X counts like how they used to shoot like 600 rounds,
Yes.
like 598s, which back in the day, 597, 598 was stellar.
Yeah, 10
now,
ring.
Yeah,
Going down to the
count
10 ring. Yeah.
Now you need that many X's.
Baby X's. Yeah, absolutely.
It's ridiculous.
It just that's what like. Is it people figuring out the game, or is it the technology getting
I
that
think
good?
both.
I think both too, and I think also there's unlimited resources for help. And we got a buddy, and if you want to coach, you can now Zoom your coach, and he can watch you over FaceTime and coach you, and he can be in California,
Yeah, from across the country.
across the world. So there's literally
crazy.
I mean, there's no limit on anything now.
Yeah.
So I think that's a big part of it, and I do think that obviously the equipment is so precise and so good. I mean, that's just a combination of everything, I think.
Yeah.
I agree.
Which sucks for average guys like me. So tell us, what was your qualification score?
So I shot a 640.
Okay.
Which I was like, all right. I was like, it made the cut. Like I personally, I wasn't happy with it where I was. I was like, you know what, it'll play. I said tomorrow's when the tournament starts, and so like I said, going into Saturday, I won my first match, missed my first arrow, shot a 131 out of 132.
That's good shooting.
Like I said, my first arrow, I thought it caught. I shot all 3, walked down, and I was like, oh, that arrow's out of the X. It felt good enough to be.
How was the guy that you shot against? Was he like 120s?
What the heck did he shoot? I think he only beat me by like 1.
You only beat him by 1 or 2? Gotcha.
I knew the guy pretty well.
Gotcha.
And, Chad Tate. He shot shooting really well. Like, we were tied after the first 3 arrows.
Gotcha.
And after that, and started going the right way, and shots started feeling good.
So that's your first elimination match?
Yeah. So I won that one. Next match, shot with another guy.
Where did that, before you get too far down the road, where did that land you in the top, 64?
64.
Were
I
you
think 54th?
54th?
Oh,
Yeah.
That?
Yeah.
Really? Man, that was the
I
cut
couldn't
was
believe it.
high this year. Back in the day, a 640 would put you like third, around in the
So then
30s.
so to kind of break it down for people that don't understand,
Yeah.
54th would shoot against like the 10th qualification.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like 64th shoots against 1,
First.
63 shoots against 2.
2.
Yeah.
And
So,
so on.
so you were shooting against somebody that arguably qualified a lot higher.
Oh, way higher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
But you beat
But
him
that's
when
the
it counted.
beauty.
yeah,
That's the
the thing.
beauty.
It can go it's anybody's game at
It
that
is.
point.
Yeah, yeah.
Because you're starting, it's a new day, you're fresh.
And you don't have a broken blade, so
Yeah, that's another thing. Change a blade
you
every
would have
single
shot
year.
a, you would've
Yeah,
shot a
that's my
own
650
fault.
if you didn't have a broken blade.
And I think, like I said, I really think it's been slowly breaking for a while now.
It's been breaking down over the last 2 years, probably.
Oh, I guarantee it.
Yeah, probably.
It always worked though, but I
Lesson
never.
learned.
Yeah.
What? Sorry, we're going down the rabbit trail. What size blade? What was it? 8,000, 10,000?
10,000 Snarrow.
Gotcha. Okay, that's a Yeah, I just was curious for my own self.
Yeah.
But yeah. And then were you in the elimination matches, when you get to your second one, were you shooting the thumb or were you shooting the back tension?
Thumb button.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, because I had my hinge out on the practice range that morning.
Yeah.
First couple shots felt good, then they did it, and I was like, I'm not doing this. I was like,
Put it away.
I was like, whatever happens, happens.
What button do you shoot?
Carter.
Yeah, we'll go through. I'm gonna go through your equipment too. But yeah,
And,
so you're in your second match now.
So I won my
match.
second match, shot a 120. kept shooting 32. Could not shoot 3Xs to save my life.
Yeah.
Well, got down to the last match. I was like, all right, I said, I could make the top 8. I knew going into this weekend I could easily make the top 8. That was like my first goal.
Yeah.
Second goal was, of course, winning it if I made it there.
Yeah.
And second match came around, first 3. The kid I was shooting against, he was like an ace of flowers. He's 18-year-old kid. You could tell he could shoot a bow good. First 3 arrows were tied. I think he missed one the second end. And so I was still clean after 6 arrows. Got down to the third end. Shot my first 2 arrows dead center. And I've shot. So what's nice about kind of living like in this area, there's been so many head-to-head matches, local tournaments for a long time.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of good shooters around this area. And I think it just doesn't make one person better. It's made everybody in this valley better.
Whole area, the whole Northeast Ohio area,
Pennsylvania. There's just some
PA.
amazing
Oh my gosh,
shooters around here.
PA's just as good as Ohio.
Oh, yeah.
If not, they have a couple
Because
better shooters.
everybody comes. So like, oh hey, this club over here is having a shoot. Everybody's there.
You've got 100. You got 50 guys that you could compete in a national tournament, as we saw this weekend.
Yeah.
They all get together and shoot off, and it's crazy.
I know.
And this is just at a local shoot.
This is
like
just
what you're talking
this
about.
Is, yeah,
This is at Possum Hollow.
This is like
Yeah.
within a 2-hour radius of Northeast Ohio,
Yeah.
2-3 hour radius.
We'll get into that because I got a couple of things I want to say about that too.
Yeah.
But so ended up my last match. So I looked over and I saw this kid and I was shooting against shot a 9. Don't ask me why I looked at his target.
Yeah.
I know better to do that.
It's a bad idea.
It's like the blinders on horses. You have to just picture that all the way down to your
Just
target.
shoot your best shot.
Yep. I pulled back. As soon as my pin started falling down into it, boom, release went off. I was like, you idiot. So I was like, all right. I was like, I'm still up like 3 points at this point because he missed a couple. I'm like, all right. I said, you got 3 arrows. Anything can happen. So Dustin Bouncy came up to me. He said, quit looking at his target. I said, you see me do it, didn't you? He said, yep. And Dustin, he's always been a guy, like, whatever he tells me,
Yep.
I listen. Like, I write it down.
Dustin's
I take
the
it to
man.
heart. Him and Randy both. I mean, whatever they say, I listen to.
Yeah.
And next year, I told myself, just make 3 super, super strong shots.
Yep.
Give yourself confidence for tomorrow. Shot 3X, shot a 130
Yeah.
with a 9, which I was like, all right. I said,
That's very good.
I said, I'll take it. I said, I can't complain.
Yeah.
And I shot for a few more hours after that.
Man, that's awesome.
Just working on things.
Yeah.
What I started doing after like that afternoon, I was shooting like I wasn't letting down because I knew Sunday
You couldn't do that. You could
not let
don't
down
have time.
and be able to make a good shot.
Right.
I just held them all. Now there was a couple I let down because I was like, this. I'm just gonna make myself mad if I shoot this arrow.
Your pin's in the red. You're like, I gotta let down.
Face is getting red. Can't breathe.
Yeah, sometimes I start to see stars when I hold my breath for too
Yep.
long and I'm holding my bow. But to paint the picture again for the people listening, the top 8 is, like we said, there's like 400 plus guys in this men's open, and what Noah just described, to get to the top 8, it's quite a feat because those head-to-heads are a ton of pressure.
You got to shoot 36 of your best arrows.
You can't miss X's,
You can't-
honestly.
You cannot, and be safe.
Yes.
And even then, you can still not miss an X and still get beat.
So to get to that stage at Lancaster, and I'm going to say this, and it's going to be controversial, but I think the men's open, after watching the Lancaster on YouTube, I believe it's just as hard as the pro. When you get there, once you get to the top 8, the way that those guys were shooting was just as good as the
I
professional
mean, the
division.
guy that won it, he never missed.
His name's Isaac Mack. You guys should go on YouTube and watch
he
this.
He shot more X's on stage than he did in qualification.
Yeah, that's
No,
true.
seriously.
It was
did.
yeah.
He seriously did.
So anyways, before you get into it, I just want to tell the people, like, it is quite the feat to get top 8 at Lancaster.
Yeah.
It
Also,
is,
wear a button-up flannel.
yeah.
Because if you wear a button-up flannel,
You will win.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's what I should have worn. Instead of just wearing just a mossy
You're wearing it right
oak.
now. You should have wore that. Man.
Instead of I'm wearing a mossy oak shirt, king of the 10-inch beard, and 24/7 duck hat. I don't care.
But the funny part about that, what Matt said, is if you go watch all the winners in the last few years at the Lancaster Classic, the guys that win it in the men's open, they're just wearing like a flannel.
Yeah.
That's all that they're wearing. They're not wearing a jersey, which is fine. But it's funny that just dudes, regular working dudes that show up and shoot their bows, got a flannel on, and they ain't gonna miss. So, anyways, so you get to
Qualified. I was seeded 7th.
So, okay, that was the question.
Yep.
Because at Lancaster, you count your qualification score, and then all of the points that you hit in the elimination matches add on top of your
All get summed
qualification
up.
score. So that total is where you land in the top 8. So you were seeded 7th.
I was 7th, and so they had a room set up for us, kind of similar to what it was going to be like outside. Like, they're not going to get it 100%. I mean, but it was pretty close.
And he's referencing the lighting in the shoot.
Yes. I was hitting pretty good inside there, but like it was tough to see, but which I expect it to be. I mean, you can just tell it's going to be dark.
It's a little practice range on the side.
Yeah.
They're trying, like you said, they're trying to simulate the stage
Yes.
feeling. Yeah.
So when I got out there, I told myself, I was like, your first arrow has to be perfect, and for me, it felt good. I don't see how I could have made it any better, and I was like dead right. I'm like, yeah, my sight's not on. It took me about five arrows to really find my groove.
Dialed in that practice range. Yeah. And then you were the first guy to go up on the stage, so you didn't have the chance to watch somebody else and see where they missed on their first few arrows.
I was paying attention. Like, I was watching people like the day before and earlier in the day, and like me and even Rio Wild was talking. He's like, yeah, just give your sight a couple extra. Like, I was sighted in for like a high X. Like, the top of my arrow was like just barely touching 10 ring.
Sure.
And I was like, I should be all right. But
yeah.
I was hitting dead right. Then once I finally got squared away, I was like, all right, so you're in good shape now.
I think that's a pretty common miss when you go on the stage.
Low.
No, I'm saying right.
Right, too. Yeah.
I think it's low right is the common miss.
Yeah, and it's really interesting, guys that don't shoot target archery, but like when your lighting changes, the way that you look through your peep sight, I think, changes, and the way that you're looking at your scope changes. So your eyes are just adjusting, so you're aiming off and you don't even realize it from room to room or from. Well,
I'll tell you how many clicks I had in my sight when I shot my bow yesterday, first time since Sunday.
Yeah.
My first arrow was pretty good, and it was like yellow, red. Dead left.
So that was like almost four inches to the left.
Yeah, dead left.
That's crazy. That's huge. That's huge. Because if you're always hitting the X and you're not missing the X, and then you shoot 4 inches to the left, that's a big change in lighting. That's huge. That's crazy.
I remember the first year I shot Lancaster from like the practice bales and out to the main range. It was a spooky nook still.
Yeah.
My first arrow was dead right. Into 9.
That's crazy.
Because I thought it was me. Then Jesse Broadwater was shooting next to me. And he's like, where was your arrow? I said, dead right. He said, same here. I'm like, all right, I don't feel too bad.
Jesse, cool. Right. You just.
Me and Jesse are on Jesse Broadwater are on the same page. It's a good day. That's good.
Yep.
So it's cool because you were the first one up in the men's open, and you shot against Doug Williams. And that's funny because I shot with Doug Williams at the Field Nationals shoot.
Okay.
I was in the
very good shooter.
He's an amazing shooter. We were in the same group on the last day of Field Nationals because of where we ranked. So I shot with them, and he was an amazing shot. I didn't know that he was that good of an indoor shooter, but obviously he was to make top 8. Yeah. And unfortunately, tell us a story about
I got knocked out. I ended up shooting like a 128.
Yeah.
Yeah, 128 out of 132.
But you didn't drop a 9, did you?
No, I shot all 10s.
Yeah, you shot very strong.
I felt like I made 12 of the best shots I could have made up there. Like, once I got my first 3 arrows off and they were all right there, I'm like, all right, so I'm okay. And I calmed myself down. Like, it's nerve-wracking, but you can't. Until you go up there, everybody's going to feel something different.
Wait, hold on. I kind of want to rewind because I feel like a lot of people don't understand. So when you make the top 8, they put you in this room with stages.
Pause. You can watch this on YouTube right now.
Yeah.
All the classes.
Yep.
So they put you on 2 like pedestals where you're like
above people,
above ground. Above the floor level, I should say. There's lights like right on top of you, and
you're surrounded by people.
Surrounded by people sitting in a chair
Staring
in a
into your soul.
dark room, TV cameras everywhere, and you have to shoot 20 yards at a target
and
without peeing your pants.
There's a good chance like you're gonna have 250,000 views in the next year as
on
well.
YouTube,
on YouTube.
So for the finals, how many shots?
12 arrows.
12
It's the same type of scoring as you had Saturday.
Okay.
In the matches.
Okay.
But the thing is,
4 rounds.
correct.
Yes.
But the thing is, if you win, you keep going up. You
okay.
keep shooting.
Okay.
So,
So like 8 and 7 will shoot against each other, and then whoever wins will shoot against 6. Whoever wins will shoot against 5.
Yeah.
And then you just keep going up.
so if the
until
same
you-
guy wins, he just shot 4 rounds, 8
which
rounds.
happened.
Yeah, it did. 12 rounds.
the number 6 seed won everything, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
He climbed the whole way up.
So he shot a lot.
He shot
some
like
shooting.
80 some arrows.
Dude, it was insane.
That's crazy.
It was crazy.
And towards the end, he was getting tired, and I think just adrenaline hit him. And he's like, I gotta make this. And
Yeah.
he shot 2 closest to center.
Yes.
No way.
Yeah.
I never finished watching all
Yeah,
of it.
you were like, I'm done. Like you're like, I'm about to pass out.
The dude
and you-
won it by, and then also he barely caught an 11, like barely caught an 11 to go into a closest to center. So after 4 rounds, 12 arrows, if you are tied, you shoot an arrow for score, another arrow for score, and if you're still tied, you shoot closest to center. And he won 2. He advanced twice by shooting closest to center.
Here's some more information that we're going to talk about is that Lancaster, just last year, they incorporated a 12 ring. And if you watch it on YouTube, you'll understand. But did that 12 ring ever, and the 12 ring is in a spot where if you miss
it's
it,
in the 7 and the 8.
yes, if you miss it, you're gonna like lose. Like if you, if it's like it's kind of one of those situations where if you're shooting it, then like you're either gonna win it or you're gonna get like try to tie
It's
something.
like an all or nothing.
Imagine
It
a
is.
bullseye with
It's
the middle being the best points. But then you have rings, and then the farther you go out, the less the ring is. Towards the bottom of the 7 and 8 ring, there's a little dot the size of an
It's
X ring.
smaller than
It's
the
smaller
X.
than the
Oh,
X
smaller
ring.
than the X.
Yeah.
And it's worth 12 points. But if you miss it, you either get a 7
or
an
an
8.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you did not take the chance on an A12s, right?
I practiced on it the other
Did
day.
you do the whole adjust your sight, or did you aim at the 12?
No, I was going to. I was going to get more, but I was like, something just wasn't sitting right with me to do that. So I was like, you know what, I'm not. I don't see the need to. No, I'll just aim right on it because I shoot a pin inside.
Yeah.
And
So what Matt's saying is you can move your sight and then you can aim at the 11 and your arrow drops down to the 12, or you can
So you
just be
don't
a
change your shot process.
right, or you can be a man and put your pin right on the 12 ring and probably miss.
but like my thought process on it was though, like, yeah, I could have shot at it my last end just to do it, just
for fun.
get the crowd going. But
Yeah.
like because so when you have the lead going into the next end, whoever you can say, oh hey, I want to shoot first, or I want my opponent to shoot first. Well, Doug always had me shooting first, which I don't have a problem with it.
Which is smart.
It's an
Yeah,
interesting.
it's brilliant.
It's
I mean,
an interesting take. Some guys.
it's smart if you can back it up.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
A lot of guys go first to set the the pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah, the tone.
Yeah, but he's playing the 12 game.
Yeah, I
Because
understand
most
that.
guys always want to go first because it's like, I'm going to set the tone.
Yeah.
Put the pressure on the next guy. But with the 12 ring, you want to go second because if he hits it, then if you're tied and Noah hits it because he went first,
Right.
now that other guy that was shooting against him has to shoot a 12.
Yeah.
if he wants to win
Yeah, if he
instead of
wants to
doing a
win.
tie.
Yeah.
And like my look on it was like I was a couple points behind him, but I was like, if I shoot at this shooting first, but when he's still got one arrow to shoot, if I miss it and I shoot a 7 or 8, it puts me that much more behind him. Like I don't wish anybody to miss in a shoot off. Like I'm rooting for you just as much as I'm rooting for myself, but I would feel I'd be pretty mad at myself that I went at that. And if, let's say, whoever I'm shooting against missed it,
Has a blow up.
and we could add a tied game,
Yes.
and we're back at 0 again.
We watched the women's pro class. That young girl Liko, she hit the 12 and she missed it, and then her opponent Tanya, she missed the 11. I think she shot a 9, and if she had not shot the 12, she could have actually beat the lady that she was shooting against but she called the 12 too early. So yeah, it's a risk. I mean, it's definitely one of those
But it
deals.
makes it exciting.
It does.
Yeah, it does. Like when they first started doing it, I had mixed like feelings.
I was
about
kind of
it.
mad about it.
Everybody hated it.
Everybody was so mad about
But
it.
it keeps it interesting. I don't know. Maybe do something. You could probably change some things around to make it
What do you
a
think?
little more creative. Maybe put a smaller one up on top.
Yeah, maybe
Make it
different spots.
Make it a 14.
Yeah, that'd
Do you
be
have
cool.
to you have to call it out, or
Yes.
can you
Yeah,
just,
you can
so you have to call it, and I'm shooting the 12 for
Yeah.
this round?
One time per end.
Yeah, you
Gotcha.
get, out of the 4 ends, you can do it once
Yeah,
every
you can't
end.
accidentally hit it and get to 12.
Okay.
Or you can be like Dave Cousins last year, just walked up first arrow, boom,
Yeah.
12.
I know it.
He did it again this year.
Did he?
I think he did. He did something. He
I
did.
haven't watched the
That's
pro.
just, that's just Dave, though.
He's just
gonna
like,
do
oh, I'm
whatever.
just gonna go for the 12. He misses it.
Well,
It's like-
sometimes it's like psychology, right? Like if you're shooting against somebody and they got the balls to go up there and slap the 12, you're like, oh, here we go. You know, like.
And I'll give Lancaster credit. They stuck to their guns and they stuck with it the next year because I think they probably got a lot of complaints. But I think
I think it was good.
I think once people got used to it the second year, nobody even thought about it the
See,
second
I
year.
think people were practicing on it because we went to the Hoosier 690.
That's in Indiana, right?
Indiana. That's a very, very nice shoot if anybody's ever
I need to
really
go to that.
considering going. It's in December, always like first weekend, second weekend. It's a very good warm-up weekend just to go out there and just see what your bow's doing. Well, the Pro-Am that night, they shot the Rushmore Rumble target.
Yeah.
They put a black dot on there.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, I think more people were starting to get creative with it and trying to do different things.
Do their own thing with it. That's cool.
Which they need to, because honestly, indoor archery is so boring
To watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
And
we need to be able to.
That's true. Yeah, that's
It needs
true.
to be interactive, in my opinion, or people aren't going to watch it.
People, the audience gets to vote if you have to shoot the 12 or not.
How funny would that be?
That'd be awesome. Everybody
No,
votes.
but like for real, I think that, and we're kind of going off the topic, but I think in order to improve indoor archery or just archery in general, it has to be an interactive sport in my mind.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I have to be able to cancel out his shot somehow.
Yeah.
Like you have to be able to like,
Get an advantage.
like I'm going to steal this point from you somehow. Like the whole. You can't miss thing. It's boring because like you get to a point where like everybody's so good that they don't miss.
Yeah.
You got to be able to like. There's got to be some strategy involved, and I don't know how that works.
Yeah.
It's like kind of like the bow baseball. That game's kind of fun. Like you can steal bases from people and stuff
That
like
kind of
that.
died off, but that was a fun game back
was
in
a fun-
back
I remember
in the day.
that. Well, we started doing it at our club. There was another club that used to do it playing darts.
Sure.
Take a hunting bow and put up a dart target,
Yeah.
pick teams, and everybody throws like $15 in, $20 in, and shoot darts. That's pretty fun. And it gets, I mean, it gets
gets
pretty,
heated.
it gets
Yeah.
intense
Yeah.
because you're trying to close out and stuff. You're trying to close out on a double, and it's fun.
Yeah.
Just to keep it interesting. I mean,
But to bring it back, I'm excited for it because that's a big deal to
dude,
make that top
congrats.
8. I mean,
Congrats.
I just want to say congrats
Appreciate
too,
it.
because like I don't know, unless you do it, unless you are in it and you feel you just got to go do it. And
Okay, I'm gonna explain something to somebody, and then maybe you guys can bounce
ahead.
off of me. Imagine a booner walking in front of you. You know, the thump 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 in your heart and like the adrenaline. There is no difference in my mind with a high pressured shot at a tournament than a booner in front of me.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's the same feeling.
Yeah,
And
right.
that's why I got into target archery, because like when a deer walks in front of me, I don't want to sound like I don't get nervous. I do get nervous, but I can control my shot so much better because it's like, oh, I do this
Yes.
all summer long.
You shoot a
Yes.
hinge
Yeah.
in the woods.
Yep,
The only way to go.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think that's why a lot of people are like non-target shooters are getting into.
Yes.
Target.
Even the tack.
Yeah.
Just
It's everything. I mean, it's just
they're just shooting mine. I love to see it.
I'm telling you right now, if you want a comparison between your biggest buck on your property, when you draw back, go shoot an indoor tournament.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I remember the first year I went to Vegas when I was 19. I'm sitting there like I had a couple times on my arrows. My pin was moving so bad. I was like, I don't know how that arrow's even going to hit the spot.
Yep.
Then that's when you start back at zero, trusting the process. You're a full draw. You just stare at the center of the spot and you keep squeezing.
Because you went as pro a couple times to Vegas, right?
Yeah, my first year I went to Vegas, I shot pro. I shot
Well-
899.
What was for the people listening? That's insane. What was the? It was the entry fee 500 or 300 when you went.
It was 500.
Yeah. So you're throwing down $500
Plus plane ticket, plus
Plus-
hotel, plus
You're-
work.
It's a 12, like by the time you get food and stuff involved, it's a $1,300 weekend to win $100,000.
Yeah. If you win.
You want to
Yeah.
gamble, Jerry?
Oh yeah. But I almost won a lucky dog that year.
Is it on video?
Yeah, it's still on
I
there.
need to go back and watch,
We'll watch it.
That's cool.
Yeah, because we shot. There was 45 of us, 43 or 45 that shot
Explain the
899s.
lucky dog.
So the lucky dog in Vegas. So if you shoot a 900, that's your ultimate goal. If you shoot a 900, you make the shoot off.
That's not missing the 10 ring. It's the size of a quarter.
90 arrows.
90 yards. But
Shoot 3 separate games.
and that's the thing. Vegas is such. It sounds easy, but everybody makes it so hard on each other, on the
On
the whole
themselves.
tournament. Yep.
Because if you miss once, you're out.
Yes.
you're
it's
done.
a high pressure game.
And so you shoot 30 arrows, and at the end on Sunday, everybody that shot at 899, they shoot one arrow. You got to shoot an inside out X. I think I shot
That baby
3
X.
in a row.
You
And-
shot 3 inside out X's?
Nonchalant.
There was like
Were
I
you
said,
shooting micro diameter?
No, I was shooting 27 12s. and they were just hitting like that whole. Like I looked at my last like 2 arrows on my 300.
Yeah.
Like during the scoring, they were center punch. I'm like, it's there. I just got to do my part.
Yeah.
We shot 9 arrows before they finally had a winner. Came down to me, Glenn Bordwell, and Stephen Hansen. And
Insane.
Glenn Bordwell won it. I mean, we all shot 3Xs
How
that
old were you?
last.
19?
I was 19 at the time.
Holy cow. Son, I've been peeing on my leg.
But
That's cool, man.
yeah, that was the year I kind of like thought like, all right, I said
Yeah, after that you went pretty hard.
that was the year. That was the COVID year.
Yeah,
So
right
was
before.
that 20? No, that was 19 because
Yeah.
cause it was 2000.
Did you go back in 20 and shoot it again?
Yeah,
Yeah, I thought
the
you
COVID
did.
year.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, 'cause
That
I
was,
went-
that's when
Nobody-
everybody went home and they're like, man, I got this really weird cold because it was like a super spreader event and like everybody
Yep.
was like everybody was hacking and coughing when they got back because I was working for Rogue Bowstrings and
Yeah.
guys came back to the shop and they're like, I feel really weird and they're just like they're having these really weird
Here
coughs.
comes COVID.
And then we're like, oh, you'll be fine. I never got sick, which was great, but
Yeah, because as soon as we we had a layover in Chicago, as soon as we got in Chicago, people started having masks on. I'm like, this is weird. And we after a couple weeks later, we went to USA Indoor Nationals down in Harrisonburg, Virginia. Nothing. The whole COVID thing kind of calmed down. Like in 3 weeks, it was Indoor Nationals. I was struggling for a little while. Finally got my bow shooting good again. Next day, they canceled it for the
Yep.
following week, and nobody.
Yeah.
We didn't shoot forever.
and the world shut down for a year at least,
Yep.
almost
Year and a
2.
half,
Yeah,
yeah.
almost
And I didn't
2.
shoot, and like to be honest with you, I didn't really shoot a whole lot. Went to
I don't
Vegas.
think anybody did,
I mean, I kind of like. I won't say I
there
lost
wasn't anything
interest.
to shoot.
No,
Yeah.
there wasn't.
except for outdoor season. You could
Yeah.
go shoot outdoors, but
They ended up the whole outdoor season started going pretty good, but I just like didn't really have much of a desire to
Yeah.
do anything. And even like the next indoor season, went to Indoor Nationals out in Yankton and went to Vegas, but
yeah.
kind of just went.
Yeah, and that's when I went to the Rushmore Rumble because in South Dakota, who's the governor out there? Anybody
don't know.
remember? She's awesome.
She's awesome.
She's like freedom. Like she like didn't shut down the state. So in Yankton, South Dakota is the NFAA Archery Center. It's like the biggest deal in South Dakota. Which is that's how boring the state is that there's a big archery center, and like that's the most impressive thing. And like she got on the news and like was like announcing that we were coming and like we have the most boring sport on the planet. Like you watch paint dry when you're watching indoor archery. So
Well, I'll tell you how cool South Dakota was. That year of COVID, I went out to Wyoming antelope hunting in August. When we were flying back, I was like, I told the flight attendant, I was like, oh, I'm sorry, I'll put my mask on. She's like, you're all right. And she didn't
Don't worry
care.
about it.
Like it was it was like COVID never existed out there.
Yeah.
We was out there for like 5 days, and I was just like in heaven.
gotta love that freedom, boys.
It was nice, and like you don't realize
Eastern.
how nice it was until you get out there and like see you get like
Yeah.
in some that type of like
environment.
living.
Yeah, I know. So, anyways, we'll wrap up the Lancaster thing. But yeah, I just wanted to say congrats again.
Thank you.
And then you can't go to Vegas because you're in school right now.
Yeah, I
because I know
wish.
we talked on the phone, and you're like, it's like I don't want to recancel this class I'm
No,
in right
that's
now.
the thing. I already like asked my boss to take off that Friday. I almost didn't even go to Lancaster. I signed up the last day you could possibly sign up
It's a good,
It's
good,
good
good finish. Yeah, it is
because
good.
I knew I had class this week, and it was kind of getting to the point where it's kind of like too late to reschedule.
Yeah.
So I was
Yeah.
like, I don't want to be like take advantage of days and.
Yeah, because today's February 1st, and tomorrow, that's when Vegas starts, or Vegas starts Friday. So people are landing in Vegas tomorrow, and then Friday the scoring starts. So I imagine in the back of your head, like, well, I just did really well, and
Oh, yeah.
I probably wish I was kind of going to Vegas after that top 8 finish at Lancaster.
Yeah, there's a lot of confidence running through me right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah,
Good.
cool. Well, if you want to go to Indoor Nationals, let's figure something out.
Yeah, I would like to.
Yeah,
We'll
Matt wants to
be
go. I'm gonna go
I
too.
would have went to Lancaster, but I went to Utah for a.
Yeah, Matt, what did you do over the Lancaster trip?
So like my wife, she's a physician, so she only gets like certain days that she can take off.
Uh-huh.
Well, she's a resident because like as a physician, she can take off whenever she wants, but she's still a resident, which means that she's still kind of working her way up. Well, she asked me, she's like, I have to take a week off in January or February. What do you want to take off? And I'm like, I don't care. And she asked me in like August. I'm like, I don't care what week you take off. She's like, well, I might want to do something that week because I'll be off. I'm like, it's the winter. Like, I'll kill my buck already. My buck will be dead. I'm like, who cares? Well, she picked the last week in January.
In Lancaster.
Which I wasn't thinking was Lancaster, so we went to Utah on a snowboarding trip.
Yeah, which probably was more fun anyway, to be
honestly,
honest.
I had a blast.
Yeah.
Best trip of my life.
You'd just been pooping your pants, shoot on the line at Lancaster. So.
Otherwise, I would have shot really bad at Lancaster.
Well, that's like leading, like back in October, I had a couple people call me and said, hey, we're going to Lancaster. You going to go? I don't know. You going to go to Vegas? I don't know.
You don't know.
I had an itch. I had like that desire to shoot, but I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I never thought I'd say that, but I just, you shoot so many arrows for so many years.
You get burnt out.
You get burnt out on it. And like, that's kind of why, like,
that's how I was in the summer, man. Him, Cromer and I shot literally every single weekend this summer.
Didn't we, Michaela? Yeah, my wife's like, yeah, they did.
There was a point in, like, over the summer where I was like, I cannot even look at a bow anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, I've been there.
Well, Matt's wife was third shift doctor, so he had nothing to do all day long. So he just went to his parents' house and shot for like 6 hours a day.
And my parents' house is like only 5 minutes down from my place, and they have like 120 yards in the back of their like bottom
No wind
pasture.
hardly.
It's like in a bottom, so it's a low pasture, 120 yards, and you could just throw bombs all day.
Perfect
long.
trail shoot.
Yeah, and that's what we were getting ready for was all the
Yep.
trail shoots and stuff.
So after Indiana, well, no, I shot after Indiana.
It was before you quit field. We were going to go to field nationals
Yeah,
together, and you quit.
I bailed on field nationals.
I was so mad at
'cause
you.
I said I am not shooting another bow again.
But yeah, it's interesting because target archers, you go through waves. Like you get really amped, and then sometimes you just need a break.
Yep.
But what I always say is when you start, and you two better listen up. When you start doing target archery, you never leave it. I don't know.
No.
You will always be back.
And like,
It's a rabbit hole.
It is.
And you meet so many great people, and like, there's a couple people, like, if they didn't like keep blowing my phone up and bugging me to shoot, I wouldn't be sitting here right now.
Yep.
I just didn't have no desire to shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah, the people, and then there's an addiction to when you start doing well.
Yeah.
And you start to
it's
taste
like
the success.
When you break a perfect shot and it lands, it's no different than you shooting in your backyard, Jarrett. Like when your pin is there, your arrow, your backhand breaks clean, and your arrow hits behind the pin. It's like, dude.
It's just like that little endorphin drop that you
seriously,
get. It's just
the
like,
high
and
that
you do it
get.
over and over and over again, and then you're like, this is fun.
Well, so I can imagine this being like, okay, so this year, say you shoot a 120-inch deer, you want to up yourself next year, you keep going, climbing the ladder.
Exactly.
I'm sure it's the same way for that.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
you just want to outdo yourself
Yeah,
each
absolutely.
time.
That's what I've been. A buddy of mine, I got him into shooting spots, and he's like, he called me yesterday. He's like, oh, I shot a 280. I'm like, that's good, dude. I said, you looked at a Vegas target like 5 times. I said, that's excellent. I was like, just keep shooting. He's like, well, I think I can keep them all out of the red. I said, then do it.
Yeah.
I said, the first thing you got to do, you got to tell yourself, hey, I'm going to go shoot 30 good arrows.
Yes.
And they're all going to be good shots. And then you start honing in your skills.
And, not to go down the rabbit hole anymore, but like I think people don't realize until you've shot a Vegas face, shooting a 300 on a Vegas face,
It's tough.
It's hard.
is ridiculous. And then and then you count X's.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, most guys take 2 or 3 years before they shoot a 300, and that's no joke.
Took me like 6 or 7.
Yeah.
Took me
That's
a
not-
long time.
And what I'm saying is from like never shooting the face to like shooting the face.
Yeah.
It'll take you years to master a Vegas face.
It's mentally, and there's no reason. It's just a spot.
Yeah.
And then like Chad Rada talks about how like going from like a 29x game to a 30x game is the same as like a
Huge.
299 to a 300.
Yeah.
It's
The
like,
stepping stones.
Yeah, it's like it's no different from going from 29x's to 30x's for a 299 to a 300. It's
Yeah.
like holy cow.
That's like how I've been lately. Like in my practice games, I'm stuck on like 26, 27 X's.
Yeah, which is that's like this is the progression in my opinion. 299 to 300, and then when you start shooting 300s, you're like a 318x shooter.
Nah, I'd say like 22, 23.
No, I think when you shoot your first 300.
Okay, yeah.
You shoot your first 300, and then you're stuck on like 18, 19, 20s with a 300, and then you get to the 21 to 24, and then you get to like 25, 26, and then you're like 27, 28,
Yep.
and then if you're consistently shooting 29, 30, and you can keep your mind straight at a tournament, you're going to do pretty well.
Yeah.
That's like my targets are looking very, very good right now. But it's just them couple arrows. I did it tonight while shooting. I'm just like, oh crap.
What's your practice scores look like?
I shot
25, 26?
I shot 227s tonight.
Yeah.
That's good.
That's
shooting.
solid.
That's good shooting.
That's solid.
They felt like I shot 60 good arrows. There was 2 arrows where I was like, those could have been. Should have let them
That's
down.
really good shooting.
That's very solid shooting. I just wanted to get a couple more questions in before we're done. Where we at, Kevy?
We're at just hour 3.
Not pretty good. Okay, I was listening to Blake Jerome. I love his podcast. He's cool. He's from the West Coast. But he was I love to talk about like in-depth target archery stuff, but like when you're shooting, and Matt and I have this conversation at least every time we shoot.
Into this.
With your aiming and your execution, I want to talk about this because you don't really do it. It's kind of hard to do it when you're like shooting. You don't have a lot of time and you can't get like this in depth about it. But like when you're shooting, is your pin ever leaving the 10 ring in a solid game?
I hold off center.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
So everybody, don't listen to
Hold
that.
the brakes.
I can't, like, on a spot target, I hold like 6, 7 o'clock.
Okay.
What?
Below the 10?
No, you don't.
Or like low 10.
I
You
don't
like
know,
a low
it's-
10 guy.
Are
So
you
I've
in the
been
9?
I don't hold a dead center of the X. Like my pin's sitting, I don't know. It might be one side of my pin might be touching one side of the 10 ring, the other side might be touching like the red. That's just where it sits.
Man.
So I was, why not
So
roll
you
with
just
it?
side in
Paige
for
Pierce
it.
shoots-
She talked
She
about it
holds 6
today.
o'clock.
She holds at 6 o'clock in the 9.
She did. I don't know if she still does. She was. She
Yeah.
might still.
It's just where I
So
pull back.
hold on. This is
You're blowing Matt's mind.
Yeah.
So like, I don't want to bring it up, but do you suffer from like TP?
No, I just
Because that's what people do when they have TP.
Target panic
I think
for
it was
people.
so
Not toilet paper.
on a 3D target, I can put my pin right inside 12 ring, like it's nothing.
Yeah.
I think on a spot target, I used to shoot a really, really small black dot, like tiny.
Yeah.
I did it purposely because I wasn't really worrying about where my pin was sitting. Your air is going to hit where your eyes are looking.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like
That's
my
where it
thought on
started.
it.
Has it been like this since you were young?
Couple years now.
Yeah.
I just one day, like me and my buddy were shooting. I told him, I was like, "Hey, you think it's weird? Like this is where I'm aiming." He just like looked at me and didn't know what to say. I'm like,
I didn't know
"It works."
Hey, that's cool.
Well, it
And
just-
is it the same for you on a 5-spot face?
Yeah,
Okay.
probably.
Yeah.
but it's not as bad.
Okay, so this is the next question. Do you feel like your pin sits pretty steady, or do you feel like it's doing the circle
Does it do the
motion,
dance, or is it
or
rock?
is it rock solid?
It sits pretty good.
Yeah.
How much weight do you run on your bow?
Not that much. I took a lot of weight off.
So then it's doing this.
Yeah, but I did it purposely. So I like shooting a lighter bow because if it falls off the spot, I like to be able to pull it right
Bring
back
her back
over.
in. Bring her back in that 9-8 line.
Like I said, it's comfortable. I mean,
Whatever, that's the thing. Like,
That's what the archery.
but you
do.
shouldn't. But here's
shoots different.
The thing
Yeah.
about it is that you should not be staring at your pen. You're not aiming with your pen. You're aiming with your eyes.
you're looking through. You look through your pin.
You're looking through it. And
It should be blurry, but you should be staring at the 10 ring or the X ring.
if I catch myself struggling, I'm probably staring at my pen instantly. That's the first. Like if I know like I can just tell something isn't right. I'm staring at my pen.
You almost like it's almost like you're not even using your pen. Like
So
you're
wait a minute.
Like you're looking at the 10 ring and your dot is below it. And it's almost like it's only a reference
Hold on,
point
hold
for
on.
it.
It is. That's really all it is.
That's really all that it is.
Rewind.
You got Matt having an aneurysm right now.
If you're
You can't handle
if
it.
you're staring at the 11, or let's say the X, how does your pin just naturally fall to
Do you
9
use
o'clock?
does your peripheral vision? Do you
8
think you
o'clock.
use your peripheral?
I think
and you
I
think
do.
that you know that you can see it below it, and you just fire the
It
shot.
just sits right there. Like a lot of times, it might just sit like 7, 8 o'clock somewhere right around there.
Man, I love it. I think it's awesome.
What?
Because Matt and I have very similar sight pictures, and like we're like, if it's coming out of the 10, we're having a meltdown.
Yeah.
That's how we're shooting.
So I run a lot of weight, and it's probably
It's probably bad for him.
not.
Well, Bodie Turner, that's one thing he says. He don't run a lot of weight.
I know.
You want that bow floating, staring at the center.
That's what he said.
I'm pretty sure
but
Dave.
I can't do that because wherever the pin, I've tried it. My pin will be dancing, and I'm staring at that X, and I'm just pulling, and wherever it breaks, wherever the pin is when it breaks, I don't know if I don't have a forgiving setup. For one, I've never shot a forgiving setup. I feel like my bow's always hit behind the pin.
Yeah. It gets in depth
Like
to
I don't
set a bow
know
up.
how to set up a forgiving bow.
Tinker. You got to do a lot of tinkering.
Yeah, you do. And you
So
got.
do you feel like your bow is more forgiving, or do you feel like you hit behind the pin?
I think my bow's very, very forgiving right now. But my bow keeps me honest.
Yeah, he's got.
Just because of the cam, how hard
Yeah,
it is.
You shooting SVX or you
SVX.
yeah.
That's why I'm shooting it.
So what's your holding weight?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I honestly couldn't tell you.
You probably choose. I bet
It's
you
on
20.
It's on the hard setting.
Yeah, I bet he's 20, 21 pounds.
That's a
holding
man
weight.
back there, dude.
Yeah, you guys are like not you guys, but hunters are usually holding like 8, 9, 10 pounds,
Yeah.
and target archers are.
What? I was 18, right?
Your target bow.
Yeah, my target bow's
I think
18
I'm
pounds.
18 or 19.
Yeah, I
too.
don't get real like in depth like with specs and stuff. I just start
It's probably good.
tinkering, and once it feels good, and I'll
You
just mark some
tinkering
stuff
like
down.
you're just
So
moving
do
your
you
rest
just,
around.
do you just
Moving rest-
torque tune?
Not really. Well, indoor, like spots, if the arrow's coming out of the bow straight,
Yeah.
the rest is on me.
Yeah.
Then you go from
So you
taking.
just paper tune then?
If it's grouping good, I don't shoot it.
Oh, you just group tune.
When I shot my 899 in Vegas, I was not shooting a bullet at all.
Most guys aren't with a Hoyt anyway, so
Yeah, but you can't get a Hoyt to.
yeah, they're high left hairs every time.
Like I said, if it's grouping good, I'll just watch. I'll put up a new target and I'll focus good on making good shots. And you'll know what you got to do to the bow and whatnot.
So interesting how like so much like archery in general.
Yeah.
I mean, you can change so much just from shooting, like moving your sight bar in 2 or 3 clicks.
I know it.
Yeah, you can. I mean,
know it.
and like it's the
angle.
smallest changes make
Yeah.
some of the biggest.
Back bar angle
Differences.
I mean, take
That's
an
like-
ounce off your front bar and see what happens sometime.
I run my back bars, so I started shooting V bars in like October this year, and that made a huge difference.
Really? Do you run them up like Paige Pierce does?
I run them straight down.
Yeah.
So I've always ran my weight on my bows just to help me hold the bow up more, very, very low.
Makes sense.
Just
yeah.
because of that level. There's an
Yeah.
old bow junkie video, Chance Bobev, and he's talking about that. And ever since then, I've just
Yeah,
It's always
it makes
worked.
sense
It
when your
makes
weight's
sense.
lower than the center of gravity.
Center of gravity.
It's gonna make
keep
your
it
bow
up.
lift up
Now you gotta know you start getting a lot of high shots. Put a couple ounces on the front.
on the front bar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I run weight too on just the center of my riser.
Yeah, a lot of guys do that too. It's just to get the weight, just to get your bow, just your
Center. It's like a plumb bulb effect.
yeah, get your pen to settle down.
Yep.
And
That's
then
interesting.
with your backhand, you're shooting a thumb most of the time.
Yeah.
You're not doing the punching, obviously. I
It
don't
works. If
see
I
you.
have to, it works.
Yeah,
I
you'll
tried.
send it sometimes.
So
How did it go in Lancaster?
I just rolled into it.
Yeah.
Put my thumb on it, just started pulling.
Just started pulling.
So I'm not really moving. So with the hinge, I don't hold as great
Mm-hmm.
with the button. That's
I agree. I would agree with that. You hold a lot.
so
still
my
with a
thing
button.
when I'm like once on a hinge, once my shot fires, that's where I'm starting my fingers on my button. So I already got that tension built up. Then I'm just kind of just pulling into it and just rolling into it.
So you're setting that.
So you're kind of shooting a button like a hinge, but you have the option to.
send it if you
Yeah, I
need
can.
to.
It's set pretty light, but I got it set light
Attaboy.
enough, not as light to where I can. I want to be able to get my thumb on it without it going off, and from there I can do whatever.
Yeah, that's
interesting.
That's what I'm going to
How
start
much
running.
travel do you shoot into it, or not at all?
Not much. So
It's-
like the way mine's set, I'll put my wrench in the tension spot. I'll cock it. I'll turn it till it trips.
fires, and then
then
go
I'm
back.
like maybe quarter turn.
Yeah,
So that's
Not
pretty
much.
hot.
that's
That's how I shoot a button.
me too. Most
But
guys
that's
shoot it hot.
You know what's interesting about that is most guys that shoot a lightweight bow shoot a button that has travel in it.
You think so?
Yes, I know so.
Okay.
And guys that shoot a heavy setup shoot a light trigger because when it's there, they want it to.
Sure. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
Like look at Kyle Douglas. He runs, 40 ounces on his bow for a reason.
No.
50 ounces maybe.
I don't know. Yeah, it might be. I'm not sure.
I don't know. I think the button is starting to prove a point. There's a lot.
Yeah.
I just think there's something.
Buttons are taking over the world.
I think buttons are. I'm getting there because
Jerry's. I just look over. And Jerry's just like.
I just got a hinge. Oh, he's
Half
falling asleep.
asleep.
Oh,
I'm not falling asleep.
listen up, Jerry. There's a lot of information in this
He's like,
podcast
I
for
don't care
you.
about buttons.
I'm listening.
Yes, you do. You hum with a button, Jerry.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, you got the old UltraView button.
I'll never do that. As soon as,
Hunt
I,
with a button?
nah, as soon as I pull back on a deer, I'd rip it. I know I would.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's worked really well
64
for me.
yards, boys. 154 incher. Bink.
I don't know, but that's what I start. Like I shot like the first year I had a bow, I just shot with a finger release, and then I went straight from that to a button, and I shot that for like 3 or 4 years, and it was just what I got used to, so it works really well.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's all on your mindset and like what you're comfortable
yeah.
with.
Listen, this kid right here is a stone cold killer. We were in
like it.
Kentucky this year. We were in Kentucky.
Yeah, listen to this.
72-yard doe. I'm filming him. I'm above him, and he looks at me. He goes, 72 yards. I'm like, it's up to you, buddy. I'm shooting. Shoot. Dials, pulls back, and I have never seen somebody just stroke something so clean. He's shooting a UV button. Very nice button.
Very nice.
It's, yeah.
Yeah,
It breaks, and we're watching that Luminac, and I'm like, ooh, Dude, it goes out of the frame of the camera and then comes back in and just strokes.
And you hear it pop the diaphragm
Dude,
of the doe's
the diaphragm
lungs.
just goes beep.
Yeah.
And she runs like 80 yards, just dumps.
She gets
over.
tired real
It was
fast.
so sweet, dude.
This kid's a killer. I want you both to get in.
That's
we
what
need
I'm
to
saying.
shoot target archery this summer.
That's what I'm saying.
We need to.
There's bow hunter classes for
Even
you
if
guys.
it's your bow hunter
Yeah,
set.
I'm
See,
not
I
going to
plan
get a
on-
different bow, so.
Yeah.
You don't need a different bow.
Right, I said I'm not.
Yeah,
right.
just shoot your hunting set.
Yeah, mine is absolutely a target bow.
Yeah. Yours basically is. Most of you guys
especially
are.
for my height.
Because I want to shoot all the IBOs this summer.
Oh, what, you're going IBO?
Yeah,
Yeah, but I mean, I'm sure it's fun.
It
you feel
is.
like you're a good yardage guesser?
I used to be pretty decent at it, but I got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, you
A
do.
lot of work.
That's tough, man.
I'd be like, that's about 37. Oh, just blank that target.
Well, here's the thing too. They're too close to this area for us not to go to them.
Sure.
There's no reason bow hunters should not. They should be attending them.
I agree with that.
You go to all these other tournaments. You ought to go support the IBO, not just because they're one of the first organizations to really be around, but the courses they're amazing.
No.
They're tough.
They're okay. This is my beef with IBO.
Wait,
Okay.
can we explain what IBO is? Because I'm not familiar.
Okay.
It's called International Bow Hunting Organization.
Yes, and it's 3D
But it's
targets.
target archery.
It's well, not necessarily. You can. It's target archery in general, but like bow hunter guys, it's based around bow hunters.
Yes.
No range finders.
None.
Okay.
They set you. Your footing is like standing on a rock sideways, standing on one foot, balanced behind your back.
Like a hunter.
Realistic.
Yeah.
It's realistic
Yeah.
hunting shots, but they're asking target guys to shoot it. So in reality, it's not real big in like the target world.
It's fading a little bit.
Because, am I what?
No, no.
the
I
sport.
thought- yeah.
Yeah.
So
no,
like the target audience is shooting ASA. It's flatter.
no yardage.
You have a rangefinder. IBO is just, man. I shot a couple IBOs last year. And,
Were they local though? Or they
Yeah.
weren't the
No, I
bigger
didn't-
ones are way
I didn't
better.
go to any of the bigger ones.
You need to go to probably a bigger one.
But like still, like those guys get their rocks off on. Oh, how'd you like your footing on number 7 back there?
Well, it sounds like we're just getting lazy. Is what it sounds like.
Well, there's a difference between hunting and shooting a target bow, in my opinion.
Well, I kind of had my mind made up. Like if I wasn't really shooting my target bow much, I was just gonna take my hunting bow.
Oh yeah.
Just go have fun.
yeah.
Well,
No,
we go
honestly-
and shoot the trail shoots with you guys, and
Yeah.
we're just on our hunting rigs.
Yeah.
So like, if I agree with Noah, if I was just gonna go have fun, I would shoot my hunting setup on an IBO course.
Yeah.
But if I'm shooting for score, I don't want to shoot an IBO course.
And I think it will make you a better hunter.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, because I've had times before and I've had deer come running past me. I had no time to range it, and I had a good shot at them.
Yeah.
25.
And you got to know your bow. I mean,
Yeah,
it's,
you do.
there's no reason why you shouldn't.
Well,
know
you just
your
told us a
yardage.
story an hour ago about you had that 40 yard. He went out to you thought was 40.
What I thought was 40 yards.
And went over his back.
It was 5. It was 5 yards more.
Yeah. Yeah, or under whatever you said it was. But yeah, no, that's awesome.
Just little things like that. I mean, I don't.
And then yeah, I think that covers most of my questions. Let me think here. Anything else you guys got for
How
Noah?
deep are we, Kev?
116.
This is good. I'm having a good time.
I know.
Hey, I was talking about like Possum Hollow.
Sure.
So
Which is in Pennsylvania for the
it's in
listeners.
Pennsylvania.
Shout out.
Follow them on Facebook. They have some very, very good shoots. So I think they shoot in the wintertime. They shoot 3Ds on Saturdays indoor, and I think you can shoot like 40 yards inside.
It's their indoor range.
It's a
very
huge,
sweet.
it's a long indoor range. Yeah.
Very
It's
good
awesome.
target. So, like 2018, that winter, they started doing Lancaster style shoots.
Mm-hmm.
Went from getting maybe 30, 35 people to, if you don't call when they first posted, you're
Yeah,
not getting
they
a
sell
spot.
out. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of money to be won there. I think first place was like $750 last
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
time. Then they do a $5 side pot for the last arrow closest to the center.
Yeah.
And they keep it interesting.
Yeah.
But the quality of shooters that's in this area, you got like Brent Platt, Matt Young,
Yep.
Randy Morocco,
Chad.
Dustin,
Chad Rada.
Garrett Ayersman. He came up from Morgantown and shot the last one, ended up winning it.
Yep.
It's just
Zach Cromer.
Yeah. Noah Wodnicki. Matt Williams. Joey Hirschberger.
there's a lot of good shooters, and they run it the
amazing.
same way. You got to win 3 matches to make it into the top 8, and the top 8 shoot up.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't know, it's just phenomenal
The area, we can't,
The amount
unless
of
you do it,
shooters.
yeah. Unless you're in it and you see it, like, you don't understand the amount of good shooters. And then also Joey did also top 8. So we had
Yes.
2 guys in our area in Northeast Ohio, and I would consider you the Ohio area, PA area, that made it to the top 8 stage. And then Doug Williams is from Pennsylvania. So, yeah, this area has some pretty phenomenal.
Pennsylvania's always produced good spot shooters.
I don't know.
Michigan too.
Yeah, Michigan
Michigan.
has some good
Dude,
ones.
seriously, like Michigan, Ohio, PA.
Yeah,
Dude, watch out.
some phenomenal shooting.
Killers, man.
I'm curious to see like what the next 5 years in target archery is going to look like.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I think it's just going to get
Yeah, but
harder.
here's the thing: do you see a younger generation around us? I don't.
I know, like,
I don't know.
I don't.
like up this way, like I'll go hang out at Dustin's when I'm up this way. A bunch of kids in there shooting.
That's good.
Back home, there's nothing. There's
Nothing.
no kids.
See, we don't like at Ashland. There ain't no young group
No.
of kids that are any
I
decent.
know there's an on-target group in
They have a
Pennsylvania, close
ton
to
of
PA.
kids,
They
yeah.
have a ton of kids.
Right there in Canfield.
Yeah. But, you know, also the other side of it is that's why I love this sport, is because you don't have to leave. You can shoot this until you can't hold up a bow anymore.
And then after
So-
that, they got crossbow class.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I love the sport so much, is because you never have to quit, and you decide when you quit, because there's nobody telling you that you have to sit down. So
Yeah, that's like, for instance, a buddy of mine just passed away. He has a lot of high archers records set from in like the senior division from like mid 2000s and like early 2010, 12ish area. The last year I shot young adult was 2017. He shot a 300, 74 years old.
yeah,
Shot like a 300 and like 47 X's.
and 5 spot. Yeah, that's impressive. Yeah, yeah, keeping your bow up in the middle and not shaking. That's pretty impressive.
Them
at
old boys
74.
gotta go to a button though. You get past like 50 years old,
Yeah.
you have to shoot
Back
buttons.
tensions
Oh,
don't
yeah.
Because they're like this, shaking up there, just think.
That's when you send that button home.
But
Cool. Well,
anything else, boys?
yeah, that was a good one. You guys got any questions, or
Just our closer question.
yeah, go for it,
Wrap
Gabby.
it up, Kevy.
All right, so I actually have 2.
Okay.
First one here. Somebody that's a non-waterfowl hunter, how do you get them into waterfowl hunting? Because the guy right beside you is totally against it. And me and Jarrett do some.
The problem
some
is
waterfowl
he's
hunting.
never done it.
Listen, we don't want to talk about no crack
That's where, so,
ducks.
Hey, if somebody's an hour and 20 into this, they can hear
They
about
can
the quack
listen to
quack.
it, yeah.
That's fine.
well, when I kind of first, so I had a couple buddies, they were getting into, and they're like, "You want to guess?" I don't know, that's stupid. I just,
Yeah, but listen.
but a couple years ago, I really fell in love with it. I started like digging into it. And I seen all the ins and outs of it. And you go drive around for 2-3 hours, and you find a field full of geese. And you sit on it the next day, and they land in your lap. It's you appreciate it a little bit
The
more.
thing that gets me is when you are so hardcore into like whitetail, the break that it gives you of
Yeah.
the mental break of you're not worried. You are worried about the wind, but there's no scent, dude. You're just sitting there next to somebody
I know
just
you boys out
chatting
there
all day.
grilling on the real
Yeah,
breakfast thing.
dude,
and-
exactly. The mental break it gives from whitetail hunting is.
See, but here's the problem, though. Here's the problem. And this is my honest.
The problem is you don't want to take a break.
Listen, exactly.
I know.
am so addicted to whitetails.
I know.
that, like,
Same.
I don't need the break. Like, you know, Cromer
Maybe you do.
doesn't need.
Well, I
break
tell you
on
what.
archery. That's me and whitetails.
So I've learned a lot from duck hunting and goose hunting. How it can make me a better deer hunter, like brushing in like layout blinds and like getting tucked in up on like riverbanks and stuff.
A lot of smaller stuff.
Yeah,
Small detail.
how you hide yourself in a tree stand or in a ground blind. I brushed in the blind this year. I was 2 hours brushing it in.
Oh yeah.
Game
Oh yeah.
Christmas.
Yeah.
It'll be
There's
2
like-
hours
I'll
of
call,
bed.
I'll call you when you need to come brushing.
Because I saw. Did you shoot a hooded merganser
Yeah.
this year, dude? That is
It was
my
sweet.
That is my dream bird.
Okay, now you guys got to explain to us what's going on.
It's
Like duck
called a
with-
hooded merganser, and it's
It's a
got
duck with a mullet.
yeah
I feel it.
that it puts
ball.
up and down. It's black on the outside with a white center, and it can set its hair down and stick it back up.
It's a classy wood
Feathers.
duck.
Yeah, that's exactly what it
Hold
is.
It's
on, hold on,
legit.
hold on, rewind. You guys got to tell him the story about the mallard, the snow goose.
Our waterfowl hunt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to go for
Well,
it?
you know, around here, like we don't get to shoot snow geese really ever.
If you do see them, they're 20 miles high.
oh yeah, so we
Listen to
hunted.
the story.
Listen to this.
We hunted a local swamp with there was probably no joke, 30 to 40 other guys in there with us, you know.
It was packed.
And
There are swans in the area.
yeah, there's swans. and it was a really foggy morning. We know what, you know, obviously you don't shoot swans if you're a waterfowl person. So we were all
just
set
don't
up.
tell nobody.
Yeah, there you go. We set up, and the morning started. We shot a drake pintail. Sweet. And then
Wait, hold on. You're not even
Yeah.
telling the story right.
What?
He called it out.
Yeah, that's the whole point of the story.
So it was us two and his brother-in-law
Yeah.
went.
Like the dream bird. Remember the dream
and
bird
his
part of it?
brother-in-law was like, man, all I want to shoot today is a drake pintail. First bird that comes in,
Drake pintail. And
And
he
then
shoots.
what
knocks
did
it
you
down.
want to
And then
shoot?
I was like, I just want a big, fat, plumbed out mallard drake.
And then
That's what I
next
shot.
what he got.
So we were like, well, Kevin, what do you want to shoot? And he actually said, what did you
I
say?
said
a cinnamon teal?
just because they're
They're
not in
sweet.
this area.
Right.
You know, there's no chance at it. So I just made that up. You know,
So
I'll shoot a cinnamon teal.
I look up in the fog and I'm like, that looks like a goose. And then I'm like, but it's really white. So it made one honk and you could tell it was a snow goose. But we could tell it was a snow goose. My brother-in-law's sitting there on his phone. So I just start
And
putting
this,
my
this
big
old boy can
honk.
call.
my big honker call on it, and
I'm
he
telling
just
you.
starts dropping through the fog.
Got a goose flute.
No, I've got two single, really small reeds, short reeds.
Okay.
Dude,
But
he's a
this dude single snow goose just starts coming down, and we had, I
and
don't
he's
know.
circling us
Yeah.
for a while.
So my brother-in-law's on his phone. You know, he's trying to make sure it's a snow goose because there's so many swans. But it had made a honk, so we knew it wasn't a swan. And it just comes right in. So it flies and does a loop over top of these other guys we know are right out in front of us.
Like
and,
they could have shot it very
Oh
easy.
yeah, and they didn't shoot it because they
thought it was a swan.
They thought it was a swan. It comes into our spread. Kevin shoots it, just drops it right in our
they're
laps.
arguing and they're like, "Who's gonna shoot it? I don't want
Yeah.
to shoot it. I don't want to shoot it." And Kevin's
It's
like,
like, I'm going to shoot it because I know it's a snow goose.
And those other dudes just burst out laughing because they thought we shot a swan. And then,
Because that was the only bird in the area, right?
oh
Like,
yeah,
that was
it was the
bird.
only one.
Yeah.
It was so cool. Like once in a lifetime shoot
was
a
so
snow
cool.
goose.
Them old
Single.
boys that thought Kevin just pulled up and
blasted
on
a
a swan.
And then after they shot it, like Jared
Yeah,
said,
when you're on the water, voice carries so
it
far.
like echoes.
These dudes are just losing it. They're like, he just shot a swan. And then later they found out we shot a snow goose and they were so mad. But it was like,
It was very cool.
yeah, and that was early. I mean, it was maybe
it's unheard
end of
of
November,
around here.
1st of December when
Nobody
we shot that
shoots
bird.
snow geese around
Yeah.
here.
No.
No.
It was so cool.
Like when you do hear about it, it's like, oh wow, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're
It
shocked.
It was
was
like,
one of
what
those.
did that old boy say that
So
He's three. He's heard of three in his life.
Lifetime.
Yeah,
that
we were
have
going
shot
back to
here.
the parking lot, and some guys like that was like his home hunting area for years and years. He's like, "This is the third one I've seen come out of here."
in like 20 years.
Yeah,
It was a long
sweet.
time.
It would be. I think it'd be cool to go on a snow goose hunt though.
Oh yeah.
Like an actual snow goose
That's
hunt.
out in the Midwest, right? Like the true Midwest.
Yeah.
Is we're gonna kill
When
those.
we
down?
were the year they had indoor nationals out in Yankton,
Okay.
we flew in. We had to drive through like Iowa and stuff. We drove past a couple people out in fields, and it was March, second week of March.
Yeah,
So they were
it's
hunting
late,
then.
yeah.
And you should have seen the setups they had. You could see them from the highway.
gosh.
They had them big
Shreds.
like. I don't know, like in big swings, and it
Yeah.
just it had all kind of stuff going on. It was cool.
We don't
Yeah.
do that here, Matt. I'm telling you though, you would like it. We'll go.
You
Sometime.
need to go on
would
just
like it.
you go on a good goose hunt.
Yeah.
You
a
would be-
field hunt where you don't have to walk through the swamp.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just,
The real question is, can I take my turkey gun?
yeah.
And can I leave my turkey choke in?
Yeah, but you just got to shoot steel, and maybe
As
the
long,
barrel will blow
as
up.
long as it could shoot steel, yeah.
Yeah, it'll do it.
Yeah, you can do that.
I can throw tungsten to it, right?
Get you
Yeah.
some boss.
Okay, I'll shoot some tungsten. I got some good turkey loads that I'll
out in the field.
We've had turkeys come into our decoys before.
Oh, I
I'm
bet.
sure.
I'm sure.
Yeah. It's hilarious.
It's fun. It's just. It's. the
I'll
thing.
try it
It's the
next
difference.
year.
Next year.
I'll try
Next
it.
year.
Yeah. Yo, you'll be going.
Go film.
Then I gotta buy a pair of waders. And I
No, not if we field hunt. We'll
do-
find
okay.
a couple fields
Let's
and
do
you,
that.
you don't
Just
have to
do
get
that.
in the water.
Just work hard.
I just don't want to buy
Yeah.
anything. Like I don't want to spend any money.
You won't, you
I'm
won't
gonna take
have
my
to.
turkey gun with my turkey choke because that's all I own.
So I have one shotgun, and that's all I use.
For
Turkey,
everything.
waterfowl.
He just swaps everything.
What do you
out.
use, like mod wise or what?
just the one that came with it. It's modified.
modified.
That's all
I
you
think
need.
I do have a
Yeah,
modified.
nobody needs one, baby.
Yeah.
You don't
Yeah.
need much.
Yeah.
I'll be the dog.
All right.
I love being the dog, dude.
Just go pick them up, wring their neck.
Chasing them. You see that one video on Instagram or TikTok the other day? Threw that gun at it.
Yeah.
You always see those videos.
My brother-in-law has swung his shotgun like a bat quite a few times. He said he needs to start scratching in every one in the butt of his gun that he hits like a golf club.
Classic.
One of my favorites is when that guy's pheasant hunting with his bow. Have you ever seen that?
Oh, yeah,
He
dude, the whole
chucks his
bow at it.
and hits the pheasant with his bow. Reminded me of that.
No, but I kind of like slowed down on waterfowl hunting though, because I've always been in like rabbit hunting. That's just my pap's we've always had beagles. And
Beagles.
I got another beagle a couple years ago. So
That's
like,
fun.
Whatever free time I get, I'm running dogs.
Yeah.
Oh, and one more thing. I took Noah bow fishing with me, and we were at the Ohio River, and grass carp are not very common in the Ohio River.
No.
And old Noah, he looks over on the bank, and he sees about a 45-pound grassy and smokes it. First time he fishes with me.
You lucky dog.
It was me, you, Chad, Gramps, and who else went with us that day?
I think my brother maybe went with
Yeah.
my dad and Chad, and but he smoked the biggest fish I'd seen
We
out
shot
of
a
the Ohio
lot of
River.
fish that night.
Yeah, we did.
That was a very good night.
And then you went up, and I think you had to go work with your landscape company the next
Yeah.
morning.
I had to be up at work like 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
I think we fished till like 2 or 3.
Oh, yeah.
It was late. It was fun though. It was just like
fun.
we were starting to slow down and we'd see more fish. And we'd
Keep
just
on going.
Ohio River's the best for bow fishing.
It's fun. There's a
I
lot
love
of
it.
Clean.
It is. It can be.
the
clean,
river's
yeah.
very clean now than what it used to be. Mm-hmm. They say it's cleaner than Erie.
Yeah,
a lot.
I would say
that.
Yeah, and that flow and the moving water helps a lot.
Yeah,
it does.
Filters it out.
constantly. You got more water coming into it, and
Yeah.
vice versa.
So you got one more?
Let's do our actual closing question. So,
Okay.
what is a piece of advice or a life lesson that you have learned from hunting that you can relate to everyday life?
I should have texted you this, but yeah, I didn't
Okay,
think
it's-
about it.
Take
Yeah.
your time if
Yeah.
you need to.
Being patient on things, not rushing certain situations. Like if you feel like, all right, I feel like I could benefit something from this, just sit back and wait on to see what God can do with it too. I mean,
Yeah.
that's like always before a tournament. That's one thing. Like, cause I'm pretty big on my faith and stuff. I've always been around that my whole life, and especially lately, I've really kind of got myself centered back up again. Let's say, or got myself like back to where you need to be. And
Yeah.
like when I'm on the line, I've always told myself like just stay focused, be patient, and just wait and see what. Like, hey, if you don't shoot good that day, you don't shoot good that day. It's just how it's going to be.
Yeah.
And either that just could be God's way of saying, hey, get yourself built up for the next one. Like, this isn't your time yet. Mm-hmm. But yeah, probably just being patient and just waiting on things, just waiting. Because, I mean, there's so many scriptures that say, like, wait for the time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Yep.
like, there's a reason why, like, hey, one year you might go out and kill 3 book bucks, and next year you might not kill nothing, or a year after.
Yeah.
But when you do kill that one, you're going to really be rejoicing.
Yeah.
I like
That's a
that.
good answer.
I like
like
it
it.
a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool.
Well, we want to thank you for jumping on the
Yeah,
podcast.
thank you. I
for us.
appreciate the invite. It was
Yeah.
a really fun
Hold on,
time.
real quick. Shout out. Give yourself a plug.
All
Everybody
right,
can
so
see you.
I'm on Instagram and Facebook, just my name, Noah Wodnicki. I post some stuff on TikTok too, not real. I'm trying to get like into it, but I don't post a lot of stuff on there.
Do you want to spell your last name further?
So my last name is Wodnicki, Noah, just basic
And we'll
spelling.
drop that in the
Yeah,
description.
we'll tag him.
No,
Yeah.
but I appreciate it, guys. It was,
And
had a good
like you
time.
said, you're from West Virginia,
Virginia.
and you're up here for school.
Yep.
And we were gonna go shoot tonight. I'm like, I can't. I got a podcast. So I said,
that's
come on
another-
out.
And that's another thing too. Like you look back and you like wonder why like certain things happen for a reason. Like when I said, all right, I'm gonna start getting into uni and become a carpenter and stuff. Like I knew I had to go through an apprenticeship. Well, I'm like a half hour from one of my buddy's bow shops, so I'm always up here. And it's just you sit back and wonder why. Like, all right,
Everything
why?
happens for a reason.
Yes, like why does like we wonder why like God will you don't see it right away, but like you sit back and wonder like, all right, what's he trying to show me? Or like why am I up here? Who am I trying to influence, or who's going to influence me? There's so many things that go into like you might not know for
Years.
like God might say move you to California, you might be out there for 20 years before you really truly see why you're out there. It's just how it is. But it's honestly like a year ago this time I was ready to quit this. I was so tired of coming up here. Then it's just like get a piece about it, and you're like, all right, just ride this out. And just little things that you just sit back and wonder, like, all right, hey, just see what happens with it.
Yep.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
Good stuff.
Let's wrap it up.
Go ahead, Kev.
Alrighty. Doesn't matter what you've done in the past. You can always be born again, and born again is out.
Praise the Lord.